Let me ask you a question. Are we still talking? And by that I mean, are you still thinking about buying a business? I ask because recently I've heard from several people who worked with me years ago. Some joined group coaching, some were in one of my programs, some bought a course, and then life happened. They didn't buy a business, maybe they weren't ready, maybe they didn't feel they knew enough, maybe their why wasn't strong enough, maybe the timing wasn't right, maybe they got discouraged, and in some cases, 5 or more years went by. Now they're coming back. And I think there's an important lesson in that. Just because something didn't happen the first time doesn't mean it can't happen the second time. If you're not necessarily the same person you were 5 years ago, that's particularly true. Your circumstances may have changed, your financial situation may have changed, your experience almost certainly have changed, your confidence may have changed, and perhaps most importantly, your reason for doing it may have changed. I saw this recently with a mentee. The first time around, his why was primarily about external things, what he wanted to have, what he wanted to accomplish, what success might look like. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it wasn't strong enough to make him take consistent action. This time, something changed. His why became more about other people, his employees, the kind of company he could build, the opportunities he could create for other people, what he could do with the business rather than simply what the business could do for him. And suddenly his actions changed. One of the things I ask mentees to do is to build their board of advisors. Previously, for this mentee, that didn't happen. This time, he built his board in about 6 weeks. I originally thought, based on the speed at which he was progressing, he'd do it in 4, but it turned out to be 6. But the important point isn't whether it took 4 or 6 weeks. The important point is that he did it. Something had changed. Now, re-engaging doesn't mean everything suddenly becomes easy, because it won't. You will have setbacks. You will hear no. Deals will fall apart. Sellers, they'll change their minds. Financing won't always work. Things you thought were certain will certainly become very uncertain, and sometimes suddenly. One of the best examples I know is Gabriel. I met Gabriel in August of 2019, and we've worked together ever since. And in full disclosure, I have a piece of his deal. Before COVID, Gabriel had assembled 14 LOIs. Think about that. 14 signed letters of intent. That is no small accomplishment. Then COVID hit. The businesses shut down, and essentially all 14 of those LOIs disappeared. Now imagine putting in all that work and watching it vanish. Most people would have had a very understandable reaction. And they would have said something like, well, I tried, it didn't work. Maybe this business acquisition thing isn't for me. But Gabriel didn't do that. He went back to work, he rebuilt, he pursued more acquisitions, and today his organization has 68 locations. I suspect he's very glad he didn't decide that one crushing setback was proof that the idea didn't work. The setback was real, but it wasn't the end of the story. And maybe that's the message for you. If you investigated business acquisition years ago and didn't follow through, don't automatically assume that because you didn't do it then, you can't do it now. Instead, ask yourself a better question. What's different today? Is your why stronger? Are you more experienced? Are you more disciplined? Do you understand yourself better? Are your circumstances different? And do you still want this badly enough to do the work? If the answer is yes, maybe we should start talking again. And I've made it easier to do that. Go to askbrucewhipple.com. It's completely free. There are 12 questions, and you can complete the assessment in those 12 questions in less than 10 minutes. It will show you where you are today, what pieces of the business acquisition process you may be missing, and where you should concentrate your efforts. You'll also be able to get a copy of my new book. And I use the term book somewhat generously. It's a whopping 29 pages. You can read it in less than an hour, and I've asked the mentees who've read it to give me their honest assessment, good or bad. And so far, the feedback's been very good. But start with that 12-question assessment at askbrucewhipple.com. Find out where you are today, not where you were 5 years ago, because perhaps the first time wasn't a failure. Perhaps you simply weren't ready yet. And if you're ready now, are we still talking? I hope so. To your success, never ask, never get. I consistently see over and over again how true that is. But keep pushing, and I look forward to talking with you.